really know somebody. I just wanna be enough for you as I try to find the words inside my head I need to say. I'll do anything, tell you everything for your energy. Oh, this is chemistry.
Please put your hands together and welcome the founder of CheMinistry, Chanel N. Scott. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to see you guys. So today, guys, we have an amazing show set up for you all. We have some amazing guests. We're going to be dealing with the alpha woman meets her match. But before we get started, I'm going to go over the mission of CheMinistry, a relationship platform. CheMinistry was created to bridge the gap between purpose-driven men and women who desire to progressively see their love lives go to the next level. So essentially, you know when you meet that fine man, or you meet that fine woman, right? And y'all texting and talking, and the conversation is good, the communication is great, and then something happens. And then the communication becomes stagnant. He stops calling. You stop responding to texts. Well, CheMinistry was created to help get us past that place of stagnation. So now I'm going to go ahead and introduce our amazing guests. First, we have Sierra Gates of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, cast member, owner of the Glam Shop, and successful entrepreneur and fiance of Eric Whitehead. Next, we have Kiana Watson, the #1 real estate broker in the country and wife of Anthony Watson, co-founder of WRC Development, focused on building quality homes in Georgia. We have Kendra Robinson, the #1 closing attorney in Georgia, wife of Young Jock, and cast member of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And we have our relationship experts. We have Lovepreneur, Diane and Demetrius Walker, founders of Lovepreneur, whose mission is to inspire couples and others on how to successfully have a relationship while living out purpose and passion. Okay, guys, so we're going to jumpstart this conversation, and what I would like to do before we get into it is I am going to direct the conversation to the lovepreneurs, and they are going to define what an alpha female is and what an alpha man is.
Oh my God, I love this topic. Hey, Chanel.
Hey.
All right, so I think it's like a misconception that because you're a high earner, that you're automatically this alpha person, and that's not necessarily true, and there's nothing wrong with that. So as a high earner, you can be a beta or you can be an alpha. And either way in the journey as a couple, you can benefit each other and support each other and stay in the common goals of each other's needs, okay? So you don't have to be an alpha. You can be a beta and you can still be successful.
Being an alpha female or male is someone that understands the value of leadership, someone that understands the value of authority, someone that does not shy away from either or. You have to be able to lead a team. You have to be able to lead your home when it comes down to being an alpha, but understanding that there's also value in your partner being an alpha as well.
Okay. So, guys, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about the topic, right, is because alpha women, a lot of times they have a difficult time navigating the journey to finding love, right? I myself, single, never being married. I wanted to invite these couples to kind of talk about their process to meeting their husbands, their mates, and kind of drop some jewels on how single alpha women could land a relationship, right? But first, I got to peel back the layers on this topic before we get to the good part. So what I want to know is, why are so many men threatened by alpha women?
Me personally, I was so accustomed to dating women who weren't successful, so I always had to be, you know, the pillar, provider, protector, and always had to build a woman and help her grow. I was never intimidated of an alpha woman. I always wanted an alpha woman, but the pickings was very slim. It was hard to actually find one. So I feel like most men want it, but they don't know how to approach that female. You know, they're intimidated. They may be insecure in certain areas, maybe financially, maybe physically, but all women are the same. No matter how much money you have, they're still emotional. You know, there's still many different things that you'll learn as you develop in a relationship. I'm just so happy I found Ciara because I didn't think it would ever happen. You know, I used to pray all the time and like, God, please, I want a wife. Like, I'm tired of ripping and running the streets. I've been successful since 19 years old, and I never had a woman who could reciprocate my energy. So when I got with Ciara, it was absolutely amazing because she did everything I could do, and sometimes times more. I learned a lot from this beautiful woman, and she carries so much weight on her shoulders. She's a mother. She's a successful business owner. She runs so many different businesses, and she still finds time to cook and clean and just make sure I'm mentally there. So it's absolutely amazing. I just want to encourage the fellas that are here, just don't give up.
So, Miss Kiana, you being an alpha woman, talk to me about your process to meeting your husband. Like, what did it look like before you actually met him? How was the dating process for you?
Well, for me, I never had a problem meeting a man. Let me make that clear. But when I met my husband, I was in this mindset of I am doing me. I had got to a place in my career. I was a property manager. I actually met him when I was on my way to go on a date with another person. I met him in the parking lot, and he was like, "Oh, you know, if he want to see you happy, go out with me." I was like, "No, he had this night. I'll get your number and I'll catch you later." So I was ready to be honest. I was looking to date. I was not particularly like, "Oh, this is going to be my husband." I was just dating for friends and dating for someone that was going to be honest with me. And I feel like that was how I was able to attract that type of man, because I wasn't needy. Mm-hmm. I wanted a companion, but I don't need you. Like, I'm not like, "Oh my God, get my nails done." No, I'm out here taking care of myself, and thank you for coming along to add to my life.
But I needed you.
One of the things that stick out to me, because we do pre-interviews on our guests, right? And I listened to Kendra's pre-interview, and it's something that you said that stuck out. And I don't necessarily ascribe to this, but you guys can enlighten me on today, right? So I heard, Kendra, you said that when you met your husband, right, not when you met your husband, but when you were dating Jock before you guys got married, that you was actually seeing someone else. And you said that you was going out on a date with someone else. So talk to me about the process of dating and dating multiple people, because I've never been able to ascribe to that thought process, but I'm thinking that y'all are on to something, so I'm here to glean because I've heard that twice. So I really need to hear more about the dating. Like, how did that work for you?
Well, yeah, like you said, like when I met Jocelyn, I was a young 25, 26, about to turn 26. So, you know, I was still in that phase of my life. I was an attorney. I was living here in Atlanta, obviously, and, you know, I was successful. So, you know, he just caught me at a time where I was single and I was very young, and I was trying to find what I really wanted. And so, you know, when I first met him, I was loosely dating. So, you know, initially it wasn't just, oh, it's just him because he's young Jock. It was like, okay, cool. I pull young Jock at the gas station. I'm about to keep, you know, just going. And then, you know, it wasn't until like the telltale signs were there, and it was like, oh, okay, this man is serious. And, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm kind of all in. So, you know, kind of like Kiana said, like, it wasn't like a necessity. It was like, oh, I'm successful, I've checked off the career parts, you know, or the major milestones, and so now I'm ready for love. Okay. And so it became a situation where I was like, oh, I'm open for this. And then it just grew, I guess, because God had it in his plan for us to meet and for it to manifest that way. Okay. But that's how it was. Like, I was living, and he just popped up.
Right, so that's important. She was living, y'all. For those of you who are still trying to find your person. So, Ciara, Talk to me about your process, because you don't have a problem finding a man either, honey.
Nope.
So talk to me about your dating process.
As far as how I met Eric?
Yeah, prior to you meeting Eric.
So when I met Eric, I was actually buying a car from him. And the crazy thing is, a week before I met him, another guy had proposed to me and gave me a whole ring. And I was like, boo-boo, this is a setup. And it's so crazy. And I play and I joke all day. I have a crazy sense of humor. But how God works and how serious he is. I'm very spiritual, very God-fearing. And I just believe that he just loved me so much. Well, I don't believe, I know. He loves me so much. He was not about to let me get caught up in that mess. I always wanted, y'all know, like, I'm Money Monster Sierra. I encourage the world to go out, especially young girls who look like me, to go out and be very successful, because I came from a very rough upbringing. But I just believe that he just had it all worked out for me. He did not allow me to go through that marriage. Like, he gave me that ring, and God was like, go out and get you a brand new Bentley truck. And I was like, why? And he was like, I want you to go out and get it. And I was like, God, you know I bought my cars in cash. You sure you want me to do that right now? And he was like, yeah, go out and find you that truck. I always wanted one, right? Because I got a line of cars. But at this particular time, I'll tell y'all how he worked in my favor at this time. And this is how I met Eric. He was like, go out and get your Bentley truck. I was like, I was going to do it in June or May around my birthday. And he was like, I want you to do it now in 2020, in December. And I was like, you sure? He was like, yeah, go ahead and do it. This how me and God be talking. And I went out and did it. Well, I first called Bentley in Atlanta. You sure you want to hear the story? Because it's kind of like long.
No,
go ahead.
And so I went out and I did it. And I called Bentley first, and they was like, well, the white and red, because all of my cars are white and red in the inside. The red is for the blood of Jesus.
Okay.
And
All right.
and so I said, I want this particular car. I want it white with red. And all the Bentleys was telling me, the Bentley dealerships, and the one in Atlanta, and I called another one. They was like, oh, we don't have that car. You will have to wait 6 to 9 months. And I'm like, okay, but God, what you saying? Because you told me to get this truck. So he gave me instructions. He told me to go look on this lady. He was like, remember that lady? She had just got a car, a Bentley, a couple months ago. I went on her Instagram, and I went to the company that she went to. And when I clicked on the company that she went to, there my truck was. And I seen Eric on there, and God was like, this is your husband. It scared me. And I called my pastor, and I was like, God, I was looking for he told me to go look for my truck. He gave me instructions to how to go and look for my truck. I clicked on his page. First of all, I called 2 other Bentley dealerships, and they told me it was going to be 6 to 9 months. But then I found my truck on this guy's page, and then when I went on his page, God told me that loud in my ear that this was my husband, and it scared me. She said, well, don't tell nobody about it. Just pray about it. Don't tell. And the way God be talking to me, y'all, is crazy. So I ended up finding my truck and my husband. This is how it all went down.
Eric, when you saw Sierra, what was your thoughts?
Honestly, when I first seen Sierra, I didn't think anything but business, because I was living my life, just like you said. I was having fun. I was traveling. She was in a relationship. Like, I kept it strictly professional. I didn't do too much. I was like, whatever, let's do this deal, and I wish you the best, because I seen the guy on her page. I don't want to break up a happy home. So I finalized the deal, and I flew to Georgia, because my main location is in New York. That's where I was running it from. Okay. I flew to Georgia. I delivered the truck, and when I seen her, I was like, wow, you actually look better in person. But I didn't tell her. I told my guys, like my business partners and stuff. And she smelled really good. I'm like, you smell good. And it was just, from there, it was over. So about a week or 2 later, when I got back to New York, I didn't know that my older brother was talking to one of her best friends, her childhood best friend. So I had heard that it didn't work out between her and the guy, but I still was like, whatever. I was focusing on my success. Right. They actually FaceTimed me one time when I came from dinner. And Sierra was on the phone. It was a group FaceTime call. So she's like, hey, you know you're my boyfriend, right? And I just went with her like, yeah, you my girl. What's up? Like, what we doing? Like, you need me to fly back to Georgia? Like, what's up? You know, whatever. And then she explained to me the situation, that wasn't her husband. She didn't take the ring and whatnot. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't know him anyway. So I'm coming back out there. And we had a couple dates. And then from there, we've been together every single day. Wow. Every single day since then.
All right, lovepreneur, Demetrius and Diane. So, is it possible for an alpha woman and an alpha man to have a successful relationship without competing with one another?
Absolutely, and I'll be honest, this is what we hear in the commonality between the couples. As you can see with all three couples, what's happening is they brought their vision together. If you heard quickly in the beginning, Sierra was mentioning, well, I have a whole bunch of cars. Well, I got dealerships. They brought the vision together, their likes, their values, something, there was a common ground there. And the same thing, I don't know if Anthony mentioned, but he is a real estate developer, right? And Kiana's in real estate. They brought the vision together. And as I mentioned with Kendra, same thing here with my husband and I. The key factor is, especially for an alpha couple, right? Or whether beta alpha, what you want to do is make sure that you have one vision. It doesn't mean that there's other things not happening. Kendra's still a lawyer, right? She's not lost. She didn't lose herself. She still has her own identity, and same with the other ladies. But they brought one vision together. So in the home, there aren't two different things happening. Because when you have two different visions in the home, you have division, divide too. So if you look at these couples, the reason why there is success here and why they keep going is because they're under one vision in agreement, and there is power in agreement. So absolutely you can.
Yeah. So I have a question. How important, I know the answer to this question, but how important is it for two people, well, you just talk about, because a lot of people connect in relationship and they don't have a common vision. They don't have anything in common. They are physically attracted to one another, but they don't have any similarities. There are no common goals. And most successful relationships work because they have a common goal, common purpose. It's bigger than them, right? It's just not about hooking up or having this physical attraction. So talk a little bit about that.
You have to have a fight. You have to have a reason to fight. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to be the same in everything. You just have to be compatible. Can I help you achieve something? And can you help me achieve something? And can we do this together? Because if you don't have a common fight, you will settle for anything and have another reason to fight somewhere else.
Before you jump in, Demetrius, we need to jump to break. So when we come back, we'll continue talking about the alpha woman meets her match. Well, I have a question. So Sierra, she said God said that man was her husband, right? So she had no problem letting him know what she wanted. Talk about the balance between that, because some men, they don't like when you're too aggressive, right? I've been told that. I mean, I'll be transparent, because when I know what I want, I go for it. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm with you, Sierra. Listen. No, I ain't gonna sit back and wait. So talk about what's a good balance, right? When you're going through that process, so that you don't push him away, right? But that you make your point known, but still be the one, woman, be soft in that process.
Yeah, it's super important. At the end of the day, you want to understand what the ROI is going to look like. What do you want from a man? A lot of times, people realize that, especially for women, a woman wants to look a certain way. A woman wants their man to look a certain way. But you have to understand what he wants as well. Right. That's important. But I will say this, men don't always speak up about it. So a woman has no problem saying, I want X, Y, and Z. But a man doesn't necessarily all the time say, I want X, Y, and Z as well. When both parties are willing to do so, you have what we call the power of agreement. We're in agreement of what we're doing, what we want, and what we are building towards. And that's what keeps a relationship from an alpha man and an alpha woman in connection.
All right. So, guys, I want to transition to, Sierra, you talked about the last relationship and being hurt, right, and being mistreated, right? And as an alpha woman, how did you deal with that? Because people have a certain expectation. You can't cry, you can't be soft. They have this expectation that you have to keep it together all the time so you can never be vulnerable in front of other people. How did you deal with that?
Honestly, if I could be 1,000% transparent, it made me like mean. You know what I'm saying? It just made me like, I put this wall up and I just was very aggressive in the relationship. And then when I got into this relationship, I didn't know how to let my guards down. Being loved properly, somebody being so sweet to me, somebody loving my flaws, somebody helping me, taking me out on dates, paying all the bills. I didn't even know how to receive that. So I had to like really pray and get counseling for real to be able to heal from those things and let my guards down, because I didn't know how traumatized I was from my last relationship.
And Eric, before you, because I'm coming to you, how did you, because sometimes people may judge that behavior and say, okay, I don't want to deal with that, not understanding that that person is coming into the relationship with a history. And it's, as a man, as someone who wants to get to know the other person, you got to ask questions. Don't judge the behavior. You have to ask questions to get to know that person's history. That's a part of getting to know. So tell me how you dealt with that. How did you, I don't want to say dealt, but tell me how you worked through that process of getting Sierra to let her guards down and to begin to trust you more.
So first and foremost, I had to pray. I had to revert back to the Bible, and it says love is patient, love is kind, love is understanding.
Good. You better preach.
So when it came to Sierra, I understand that she was damaged already in a relationship, and God had told us that, we're a union and together we're a force. So I had to adjust myself, because the woman is the weaker vessel. As a man, you're the pillar, provider, protector. So I had to adjust my mindset. It's not about just me, it's about her. And I had to be patient, I had to be understanding, I had to make sure my communication skills were on point. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I had to listen 2 times more than I spoke. And sometimes I had to, pick and choose my battles, because she used to take it out on me. I'm like, I don't need this. Like, I had money. I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? I want you, but I don't need you. But once I got it down packed and I understood that she's just hurt and she's operating out of a place of hurt, it helped me. It actually put a little fire in my step. I'm like, I don't know what I had to do. I started courting her. I started sending flowers on a weekly basis. The flowers would die. I kid you not. Sierra didn't feed the flowers, didn't do anything. But just the fact that she got them made a big difference. And I just always tried to keep that spark and to keep her loving me.
It's so crazy because as damaged women, we so used to just like routinely stuff with men, right? You make them mad, things happen, they get mad, you lash out, and then the man leave, and it's just like nothing. But with Eric, on the other hand, he just kept working at it, and I would tell men to just keep working at it, because you just don't know those walls and those barriers that you breaking with your woman. Like he really broke me. I'm so vulnerable now with him. If y'all watched the previous shows with Love and Hip Hop, you would see I was just nagging and I was just doing those things because that's what I was accustomed to, thinking that, that's what I had to do. I'm such a little wimp, little baby now. Oh my God, I'm so vulnerable. And you know what? I love that vulnerable me.
Yes.
Because I still can make millions of dollars and I can just love on my man. I can cry.
Right.
I could be like, I feel fat today. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I could just be what God called me to be, and that's just a woman.
Yeah, I love it. And Sierra made literally a perfect example. And to all my women that are single, you're alpha, and you too have been hurt. And the reason why you have walls up are legitimate. It's just remembering that your walls up is not letting any bad or good get through it. So you're missing out on so many opportunity of very good men because you have these walls up. And they mentioned counseling, and it's a really good way to do that. As lovepreneurs, as entrepreneurs, as alphas, it needs to be our lifestyle to have someone that we can communicate and talk to on a daily or weekly basis about what's happening. Because the more you bottle in, the less creative you would be, especially for the entrepreneurs. And then lastly, something else that Kiana even mentioned, and Sierra, is amazing as alpha women that you guys are lioness. Listen, I am too. I roar. When I'm in that boardroom, I'm a totally different person. And my husband finds that very sexy. But when I'm at home, I'm a lamb. And you shouldn't be offended by that. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be sweet. It's okay to be catering. That does not make you weak. And it doesn't automatically have the man assume that you're now weak and you're not able or capable to do your thing. So just think about that and process that when you are making these decisions as you are dating or seriously dating.
One of the most powerful things you can do as a man is understand why women were created. Women were created to incubate, to nurture. You give a woman a word, they're going to give you back a paragraph. You give your woman a thought of a business, they're going to give you back the business. You give your woman a seed of sperm, they're going to give you back life. And they're going to incubate and nurture it. And the moment that you shut them down from doing so, you're going to get a woman that you're not in agreement with, that you don't want to live with. So you must make sure that whatever you're doing, you allow your woman to incubate what it is that you have going on. There's value in that. Don't be one of those men that are insecure that they're going to be more powerful than you. No, you want to take the power that they have and use it for your good collectively together as a couple.
As an alpha woman, how do you balance the career, out in the world, and then when you come home and your wife, how do you balance it? How do you turn it on and off? What does that process look like?
So basically, my turn on and turn off process is that, of course, I have no choice but to be a boss in real life. I employ people. I make sure, things operate in my company. It's also equally as necessary for my husband to feel loved, for my house to be clean, for no dishes to be in the sink, for the clothes to be washed, stuff like that. And while we have help that assists me in doing that, it's just that. I'm not ashamed to say when I need help. When it was time to bring in the maids, when it was time to bring in all the extra people who help me function, like collectively my team, that's what I was able to do. But it's really important for me to, again, make sure my businesses are ran, make sure, I'm producing the way that Kendra wants Kendra to produce, but at the same time, I don't want my husband to suffer because of that. So I just make sure that, we plan out a lot of stuff. So not just because I'm an attorney, but because I do want every part of my life to be tended to. I want my businesses to be ran at the optimum of being ran. And I want my husband to feel the most love that he should feel from his wife. I want our kids to feel like, okay, hey, Miss Kendra is at the volleyball game. I just make sure that I tend to everything. And sometimes I have to resort to a schedule to do so.
Okay, that's good. So, Kiana, what does that process look for you? How do you balance the two?
I really don't like the word balance. I feel like that's just something that we put on ourselves. It's unnecessary pressure. I like to call it a blend because some days one week I'm going to be really good at business. And then the next week I'm going to be so good at loving on my man, right? And the following week it's going to be back again, right? And it just really depends on where I am in that process. Every day doesn't look the same. And I don't want to have that unnecessary pressure. If I'm launching a new business, it's about this business right now. I'm in the middle of launching something right now, and I already know what it is. Like, I already know how he feels, but I've already told him what I've learned is to communicate. Listen, I'm about to drop this class. It's going to be a rough week. I'm going to be on the internet all week. I'm going to be doing all these trainings all week, just to give him forewarning. So you are fully aware of what you're getting into this week, and he's not complaining. But then I'm like, but then next week, it's back on. So let me plan some dates. Let me make sure that we can do those things. And I think it's the best way to balance your life as an entrepreneur is to blend your life. So now he sits and he talks to me about what I have going on. We can talk with each other, not at each other. And don't feel bad for understanding that every day is not going to be, you're not going to be the best wife every day. You're not going to be the best daughter every day. You're not going to be the best business owner every day. Try your best every single day and know that there will be ebbs and flows. And that's how I run my life.
So Anthony,
So let me add to that. When she's busy, I find myself trying to be in the room wherever she's at. Like if she's out, shooting a podcast, I call somebody from her team, say, hey, where you guys gonna be at? And I make it my business to send her flowers to the restaurant, wherever she's going, every single time. So just to be that, have that support system, even though I haven't spent time with her that week, I still find myself available to do what she need me to do if she need me. So that's what I do.
It's also important to make sure that we understand, especially for some of you guys that may be dating or in a relationship but not understanding how it needs to work out, there's partnership that you build as well as relationship. Partnership is for your business and everything you're doing in terms of life. Your relationship comes down to your love life. And as entrepreneur couples, you have to understand that it's both things that you have to build simultaneously. And if you don't, you will definitely have some problems and issues. So understand you have a partnership to work on and also your relationship. Love, we understand, does not last all days. But if that's where your partnership kicks in, and the mission of your partnership outweighs what love will do, that will keep you in a relationship together. Because even if you're mad at each other and don't see eye to eye on everything, you have so much in the mission together that you have to still talk to each other. You still have to show up at meetings together that would allow you to get back in alignment. But if you leave it all on love, you're definitely going to have problems.
Absolutely. So partnership and relationship, Sierra, how do you guys navigate that?
I feel like we do really great at it now. At first, it was a lot. Like, I was like, you in my business. You don't know what you're talking about. It was just too much. It was a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think also, too, being an alpha woman and being an alpha woman for so long, you already got these systems in place. You already know what you're doing and how you're going to do it. You already know your monthly goals and how you're going to reach them. So a man coming in that's just as well as alpha-ish, and he's trying to tell you things, it's like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. But you really have to learn how to submit and open your eyes and your heart to what he's saying. Because I tell people all the time, before I met my husband, I was a money monster. I'm still a money monster. But now I'm a money beast because I've learned so much more because I just opened my heart to listen. Because at first I wasn't hearing it. And I tell people all the time, I feel like on every panel, I was hood rich. I had all the money, but I didn't have no credit. I didn't have no balance. What's the word you use? Blend. I didn't have no blend. And I was just outside buying cars, just living life like a rapper that was only going to lead me to being broke in a couple years in the future. But when I met my husband, he showed me how to really build and grow for the future.
Right. That's good.
I love you for that.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's good. So, Eric, talk about that process, how you guys got to the place that you are today. Like, how did you navigate that when she, initially, when she was like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, how did you guys overcome that?
So I'm going to revert back to what Meat said prior. The word I like for that is union. Okay. Union is togetherness. Like, when you think about construction, you think about union. They love their union. It brings people together. It's a partnership. It's just a level of understanding. It's like it's a level of everything. So I had to remind myself that this is a union and I want to see where it can go. No one's ever taught me how to be in a relationship, and no one's ever taught any one of you how to be in a relationship. So I had to learn just like anything else, just like going to school, just like building a business. I didn't just wake up and be a millionaire. I had to sacrifice. So I had to apply that same mindset to my relationship. And again, patience is key. Don't get me wrong. We still argue. We fought. We power trip. We power trip before coming here. What car are we going to drive? What are we going to do? Why are you wearing this plum suit? I'm like, oh my God. I can't wear this suit. I like this color. But it happens. She wants the best in me, and I want the best for her. And you have to understand to compromise. And that as a union, we're a whole. Together, we're one. So I'm not here to hurt you. You're not here to hurt me. I hope not. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's crazy because I had a power trip too because she was on the same thing about what we're going to wear. What we're going to do. So, if you know us on Instagram, we got to coordinate.
Okay, let me say, this is the thing. I was like, we got to coordinate, and I'm in his closet. I'm like, you picked out this. I don't want to wear that. And I'm literally trying to pick out his clothes, and he's standing strong.
That's what I got.
had this outfit for a week.
Today.
I'm wearing this.
Today.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, I had to switch my whole look up. I had a silky pink suit I was going to wear. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think what happens is, he was like, I'm not doing this with you today.
Not today.
And I'm like, you know what? So let's just have a moment of silence while we get dressed. I don't want to hear nothing else you got to say. Let's be quiet for the next hour.
I'm going to walk the dog while you get dressed.
Chanel, I think one of the things that we're hearing, and just so that it's clear to the audience, and it's so amazing to hear, you have to allow your partner and give them grace to grow.
Yes.
This is a growth process. You guys weren't raised in the same home, and even for those that have siblings, you realize you're still different people. So I love that because you guys are giving each other, you mentioned patience earlier, but you're giving yourself grace to grow and the ability to become. Because this is a process of becoming, especially if you know who you are, you know where you're going. That is the becoming process. So yeah, give each other patience to grow. I love that.
Right. That's good. So now I just want to ask each of you, was there ever a time that you thought you would not meet your match?
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Eric, and then we'll just...
I'm like...
So look, I'm going to be completely transparent. I'm young. I'm 28 years old. Like I said, probably been successful for a very long time.
He about to be 29.
I'm going to be 29 in 2 weeks. Let me live. You see what I'm talking about, right? This is exactly what I be talking about. She been saying I was 29 since my last birthday. I'm like...
That's only because I'm 4 years older than Eric. Okay, go.
Okay, Grandma. No, you young. You look good. But I was at a point just before I met Sierra when I was living my life. I was traveling. I had everything. I had homes. I had money. I was living my life. I never had an issue with women because I knew how to talk. God gave me the gift of gab. So I was smooth. I was cool. And I was just like, I got tired of the juggling. I would wake up, send 15 great morning texts and this, that, and dinners and travel. I would fly to LA, have lunch, come back, go to work, then go to Miami, and I would have fun and then losing sleep. But God had a different purpose for me. I almost thought I was never going to be married. I had like George Clooney, how he was single for a very long time and just was successful. I thought that was going to be me. And what I wanted in a woman wasn't what God gave me. Like I have no kids, like I said prior. I didn't think I would be with a woman with 2 children. Now I'm an amazing stepfather. You know, like
That's awesome. That's good.
And we're actually working on having children now because I want a big, you ready? Because I want 5, so you got to get ready. But I was moving around and I just thought like, and as you move around, you think that you start looking for different things in different individuals that's not there. And then I'm like, I had a sense of perfectness when it came to a woman. I'm like, damn, her feet, her breasts, her this, her that. And it just wasn't making sense. And I'm just like, this is not going to work.
His perfectness was like, I was like, baby, boo-boo, I don't know, because this frontal going to get put on. And these edges
I still find hairs everywhere.
got to be worked on. And I'm just like, you know, I've always been very confident in who I am. I love who I am. I love the way I look. That's what I am glad that God gave me that confidence. And I just had to let him know this is what it is, and it ain't no what's up, what you want to do. If you like me, you like me. If not, then I know God got somebody else out there for me. But he always thought I was super beautiful, but I would just listen to his stories, and he really had a make-believe life in his head. And I had to let him know that not only that you got a girl from the west side of Atlanta, but this is a real Southern girl, a lot of imperfections, a lot of flaws, and this is who God made me to be. Mm-hmm. He told me I was your wife, if you know.
Real quick, to everybody that's trying to find that right partner, I just want to share something with y'all. Understand this. The moment that you identify that it's not necessarily all about what you want, but what you need as a partner is when you'll find that partner. A lot of us are focusing on what we want. I want them to have this. I want them to have that. They got to have this job, this career, this amount of money. They need to live in this zip code. That's not the key. The key is, as you are praying for that spouse, you want to pray for the spouse that you need.
That's good.
Once you take care of your needs, then you're able to get your wants.
Absolutely. All right, Kendra, was there ever a time where you didn't think you would meet your match?
There was. Right before I met Jocille, I was dating somebody loosely at the time, but I had been dating several people, and I was just like, I'm 25, I'm running out of time, I need to be married, I need to be pregnant.
25.
I was trying to like hurry up and get there. But yeah, I was feeling like, man, oh my goodness. And then when I met him, I'm like, God, is this what you placed in my path? Like this, very well-known person, this celebrity. But, I was happy when I did meet him. I wasn't necessarily sure, I'll say, but I was at that point in my life, although I was younger, I was like, I want to be married. I had friends that were married. I had friends that were married with children at the age that I was when I met Jaceel. So, again, I was, you know.
So let me ask you this. Did him having other children with other women, did that ever play a part in your decision to connect with him?
Yeah, it did, from the standpoint of I've never been the girl who's just like, oh, I'm having kids for sure. You know, I've always been of that mind of, you know, I could just have a good job and make a lot of money and not have kids and maybe be with somebody and not necessarily be expected to do that. You know, it's still not, I'm not saying I don't want children, but that was one of the things that helped me say when it was time to actually pick and decide who I was gonna like dedicate to and be faithful to. You know, I was like, well, you know, I'm not sure I technically want to like birth a child. So, I mean, he has children. They were small. Most of them were, the majority of them were young, and the small ones were babies when I met him. And so that actually influenced my decision. Like, it didn't run me off because of who Kendra is. It might not be the same for every woman if a man has kids, but for me, that worked perfectly.
Okay. All right. Okay. Kiana?
Well, for me specifically, I wasn't in the place of losing hope before I met my husband. I think I had already gone past that phase. I went through that phase well before I met him. I went through that phase about 2 years before I met him. Mm-hmm. So within that 2 years, I took some time from dating and I focused on my career. Mm-hmm. And what I recognized is the more that I did personal development, the better woman I became, mm-hmm. and the more comfortable I became, and I started to attract the type of men that were really in alignment with who I was becoming. So for me specifically, when I met my husband, I was dating. I had a pretty decent lineup. And that's just being transparent. But they weren't him, of course. It wasn't him. So I wasn't in a place of losing hope. I had recognized that I had grew into the type of woman that was attracting the type of man that I knew that I deserved. And that helped me so much. So I would tell most people, stop focusing on the man and focus on yourself, your personal development, who you are as a woman, your spirit, your finances, your thoughts, everything. And by the time you do that, you will start to attract the type of men that you desire. Mm-hmm. And then you can choose. And so I didn't lose hope because I had
choosing.
Yeah,
and I was settling.
I was able to choose.
I could choose.
And I wasn't that type. And it's like, even to go further along with Anthony, I did not. We were just friends. We were really good friends. I told him everything he knew about my dates. He knew I was going out with. I would talk to him about them. Wow. We were really good friends. And our friendship developed into a relationship. Okay. And even when we got engaged, and we got engaged in Mexico. This is how it happened. Y'all got some time. So this is how it happened. We were at this hotel, and I was looking over the balcony, and he was like, let's take a walk on the beach. Now, first of all, I got this cute outfit on. I got baby oil all over my legs. I'm like, he want to walk on the sand before we head out to the club. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's just walk on the sand. We're walking on the sand, I see like this candles, and I see, will you marry me? And it was a couple right beside us. I said, oh my God, Anthony, we are in these people's way. Literally. I was like, we are in these people's way. We got to get out their way. They about to get engaged. And so I'm looking around, and then I see the photographer coming. I turn around, and he is on his knee, and he asked me to marry him. It was unexpected. And I think that, I'm not saying that my way is the best way, but mentally I was just like, we are enjoying each other. And it was, I wasn't forcing it. I wasn't like, I gotta have a baby, I gotta have a man, I gotta get married. It was just like, let's enjoy each other's company. Let's be respectful. Let's be friends. And I feel like even for us, like we're heading towards 10 years of marriage in March. That friendship,
that's good. Yeah.
Like us being friends has been able to keep us married. I'm gonna tell you that now. If we weren't friends first, that we would not have been able to maintain. And I would just encourage you guys to be someone's friend first. Be their friend. Of course, have expectations, but be their friend.
Yeah, that's very important.
I was going to ask Anthony before you. So, I got to back up because she was telling you about her other dates and things of that nature. How did you, like,
Did I occupy her time?
I'm sorry?
How did I occupy her time?
Well, did it affect you?
No, it didn't affect me because, at that time, I never got rejected, right? So I know it was rejected. And then that one time, like I told you guys, you know, she rejected me. And I think that pushed me over to become like something different.
Okay.
So when I got the chance to meet her again, I had a new approach. So the other guys I really didn't worry about because I had an agenda every single day.
So, guys, we're going to go ahead and go to break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on Alpha Woman Meets Her Match. Welcome to CheMinistry. This has been an amazing show as we've talked about the Alpha Woman Meets Her Match. So before we close out the show, I wanted to get some practical principles that we can leave with our audience on the topic today.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that we see that's common ground here in all three relationships, everyone brings value to the table. I think oftentimes we want this table to be built for us, the food catered on top, and you're just sitting there just waiting to be fed. That's not the case for a successful relationship, right? You want to be equally yoked. You want to both bring something to the table. Why? Because you both want to have value. You want to have an ROI in this relationship. There's this, there was a study done in the Journal of Psychology where married couples that support one another, support the visions, the goals, the dreams of one another, their net worth increases by 77%, right? So in this case, you see it. Immediately, they were successful and valuable all on their own as individuals, but the minute they got together, a powerhouse, and their net worth increases by 150 in their own home. So that's what, if you don't get anything else, understand that it's worth the investment. You got 10 years of investing in one another. Ken, how long have you and Jalil been together?
Almost 10, about 8.5.
8.5 years together investing. This is an investing journey. And how many years, Sierra, would you say? 2 years. So to those that are dating, this is all information you can carry out through any of your circumstances at that moment. What value, analyze where you are right now. What value can I bring to this table so that we can be served at the longest table possible? Right? And that's how you will measure your success in a relationship as an alpha.
Another thing, if you identify with each couple that has spoken, it's about purpose, not perfection.
That's right.
They didn't come into this relationship looking for perfection. They were looking for purpose, because even bringing value to the table, if your value and purpose don't align, it's not going to work. So you want to make sure that you're bringing value to the table, but you're also understanding the purpose that we're going to come together and what we're going to build. So that's what you see in each one of their stories. There was purpose that they were more interested in, not perfection.
All right, guys, so now we're going to turn our attention to the audience. Does anyone have any questions for our guest today?
My question is, well, not only am I a single woman, alpha woman, I'm also a minister, alpha minister. And I get so many men on my Instagram, on my Facebook, coming at me with, oh, you can't do that, you can't wear that, you can't, it's so many things that I can't do. So, my question is, how do I balance? Because people judge you, when you become into ministry and you become, who God wants you to be.
I would say, you have to be true to who you are. You have to find your tribe of people, and that's what's most important. You have to recognize that you're not supposed to be in that pulpit if they don't want you there. So you have to go where people are going to welcome you, and you can be truly who you are called to be, and not worry about where you're not supposed to be, and think about where you are, and create your own community and create your own group of people that actually value you, value your knowledge, value what you're bringing to the table, and are not worried about what you are or are not wearing.
And just the last thing that I'll add to you just really quickly, just if God puts you there, then that's where you're supposed to be. If you're a minister, if God leads you to a congregation of people or somebody to minister to, then you won't be moved. You don't always have to look the part. I'm sure I don't look like a real estate closing attorney right here. This is a midriff top, but I'm still here, a part of the panel. Be true to yourself and just do what you do. If you're doing right, if you're following God's path, then you will not falter. So you'll be fine.
Thank you.
Hello. So for Demetrius, you mentioned earlier allowing a man to chase you. So how do you make a man still chase you once you're actually married in the long run?
It's important to understand your partner. Understand what his appetite is. Understand what attracts him. Stand up.
That's what I'm talking
This is pure beauty here. This is pure beauty. But that's only part of it. It's the mindset that I'm attracted to, because I understand as we grow old together, all this is going to do its own thing one way or the other. So I understand that I had to think about her mind and her soul and her spirit. That was important to me. Connecting there is what keeps the chase going. Understanding that you got to keep it fresh. You got to do date nights. You got to come up with experiences even in the home that I'm not used to. Men are visual. Understand that. Men are visual. Women are emotional. Men are visual. So you have to make sure that you keep the appetite of your man visually and lead him where he needs to go all the way to the end of the earth if you need to. That's very important. But being in a community with other women that are also willing to share how they're keeping their man chasing them. So it's not just leaning to your own understanding, but having a community of other women that are also understanding what they need to do to keep the man chasing is very important.
All right, guys, that is our time. I want to thank all of my amazing guests for being here. That is our conversation on the alpha woman meets her match. If all hearts and minds are clear, let the church say, Amen.